The flagship station of Virginia athletics is a bastion of far-right propaganda. Chris Graham here in Augusta Free Press. And I swear some of our readers are trying to get me killed, but this is one of those that a reader pointed out to me. Have you ever looked at the daily show lineup of WINA, the flagship station of Virginia athletics? And I have to admit, I don't listen to a lot of radio, local radio anyway, Sirius XM when I'm in the car, listen to podcasts. So I'm not really someone who pays attention to, daily schedules for local radio stations. But once I looked, I could not unsee what I saw. Now, one way you could look at WINA, the flagship station of Virginia Athletics, is that Virginia Athletics is helping the station promote the dissemination of far-right propaganda in the Charlottesville and Central Virginia area. And I don't know if there's any other way to look at it, unfortunately. And yes, I know almost certainly this, the column that I wrote on this today and this YouTube video and the podcast means no more invites for me for guest hits on the best seat in the house with Luke Neer to talk UVA athletics. And Luke does such a great job on that show. Um, um, so bummer. I can't imagine how I'll be back on that station now. But such is life. You got to point out what you got to point out. And getting that out of the way, the weekday schedule at WINA is absolutely about as one-sided to the far right as you can imagine. It's after the morning news, which plays straight up, Jay James and the news crew. You get Hugh Hewitt for 3 hours, and among the things this week Hugh Hewitt had on his show was that Joe Biden is running cabinet meetings and that Kamala Harris is using government money to get foreign leaders to campaign for her. Nonsense such as that. Then after Hugh Hewitt, it's on to local right-winger Rob Schilling, who this week gave airtime to a Northern Virginia pastor on, quote, how to vote according to biblical values, unquote. And then also another segment with the father of a, quote, J6 political prisoner. We would call that someone who participated in the insurrection on January 6th, trying to overturn the election in favor of Donald Trump. But depending on your perspective, I suppose that's a J6 political prisoner. Um, and that's what we get there from the local guy, Rob Schilling. Then there's a show called Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And among the bits this week was, quote, why am I voting for Donald Trump? And then there's another straight up local news hour. And then Luke's Best Seat in the House show for a couple hours every weekday. Following Best Seat with Luke Neer, it's Mark Levin, the author of a book called The Democrat Party Hates America. That's a song for how that 3 hours each day goes. The weekday ends then with a guy named Rich Valdez, whose most recent show at this writing, or at this, my writing today and at this recording here on this video, began with a discussion of, quote, more stations for Soros, bringing up the George Soros anti-Semitic boogeyman that the right loves to bring up there on slow news days. My favorite on the weekend schedule is a show featuring Sebastian Gorka. All I'm gonna do is laugh when I even think about Sebastian Gorka. The image of the guy passed up in my mind here. The weekend show is a best of, so we can only hope if we're listening, and that means we're stuck. Our radio dial got stuck there. That we'll get Gorka chatting with Mark Robinson, the guy in North Carolina running for governor who described himself on a porn site as a black Nazi, among many things. Who comments on porn sites? But anyway, my thought when I was writing the column after reading, just getting a feel for what this station does, looking through the schedule, looking at the segments that the shows run, can't they just run dead air in between the local news and UV athletics? Maybe try a polka hour every once in a while. Polka was big, 60 years ago. I do wonder how this programming works out for WINA, given the political leanings of Charlottesville, Albemarle County. I mean, we're not even talking about a 50-50 place in Charlottesville, an 80-20, if that close in elections every year, and then certainly every 2 and 4 years. And Albemarle County is still a 60-40 split for Democrats. How does it work out? Not just listener wise, but then advertiser wise. You got to. I mean, I even wonder if the people who advertise on that station understand that their ads are likely to run against this hate-filled stuff. I mean, um, the father of a J6 political prisoner, a pastor telling you how to vote based on the Bible. I mean, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine that people are advertising knowing that they're going to have their spots running against this. That's the advantage, I guess, of the salesperson. They likely are not going to talk about that kind of thing. So hey, that's good for them. If WINA wants to run that kind of content, that's great. If advertisers know what they're getting into and want to have their messages up against that, that's fine too. It's a free country. They're as free to advertise one of those hateful shows, and WINA's is free to run those hateful shows as I am free to say, why are they running those hateful shows and why are people advertising on those hateful shows? It's a free country for me too. So save your energy if you're thinking about typing up about how I'm trying to censor somebody. I'm not the government. I'm just a guy talking. Um, Now, I do wonder about UVA athletics, and um, I'm going to, and I already have submitted a FOIA request to the University of Virginia to get a look at the contract between UVA Athletics and the Charlottesville Radio Group, the parent company of WINA. Just want to know how much UVA Athletics is getting in return for giving the station and its parent company the flagship station status, and how much they're getting to help use UVA's leverage to, spew this hate. And I'm assuming there that UVA Athletics is getting money and not paying money. We'll find out one way or the other, though, as far as that goes. So as we wrap up here, if you have anything for me, news tips, comments, ideas, story suggestions, please feel free to email me at chris@augustafreepress.com.